Hello and welcome back to World Talks on TVP World. I'm Anna Kalczyńska. A sweeping 30% tariff on all goods from the European Union and Mexico, set to begin August 1st, has been just announced by US President Donald Trump. He claims it's about trade fairness and national security, but the move is shaking transatlantic relations. The EU is holding back on retaliation for now, but has warned it's ready to hit back with up to 100 billion euros in countermeasures if talks fail. So what's really behind these tariffs and how should Europe respond? Joining me to discuss this issue is Ignacy Morawski, Chief Economist, Puls Biznesu. Good morning and thank you for joining me here in the studio.
Hello, good morning.
So, as we know, EU trade ministers will discuss those tariffs and a joint possible common position and retaliation after US President imposed those sanctions, but also ministers will discuss EU-China relations. So what we might expect today?
I suppose that the answer from the European Union will be to wait and negotiate. The first words from major European politicians indicate that the response at first will be calm. So everyone expects that Donald Trump will back down, at least to some extent. So he will withdraw from the most serious tariffs. If not, we will see. If not, then certainly there will be a trade conflict. And the answer will be very difficult because Europe exports much more to the US than it buys from United States. So EU is more exposed to the effects of trade war. So for the European Union, it will be a tough situation. And now we will have a EU-China summit very soon in China. And so Europe would like to look to China as a sort of a partner and maybe a market which can be used to as an alternative. However, I don't suppose that China can be treated as an alternative to the United States, both due to economic reasons and political reasons.
Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor, is very much pushing for those negotiations to accelerate. And as we know, Germany is the main concerned country, with exports to the US prevailing in the European Union. So what are expected the short-term shocks for German economy, and that could also bounce back to Poland, right?
Well, Germany is the economy which is the most exposed to the trade with the United States, right? Because German economy is generally more based on exports than other large European economies. For us, United States is not the main trading partner. It's not even a very important trading partner. Only 2% or 2.5% of our exports goes directly to United States. However, there are indirect links. So we sell products to Germany, they put it to their machines or cars or whatever, and then sell to the US. So we have indirect exposure to the US market.
We meaning Poles.
We meaning Poland, yes. And moreover, US over the recent couple of years, US market has been treated by Polish companies as an attractive alternative to Germany, because German economy was stagnating. It was difficult to increase sales to Germany from Poland. So many companies are looking to diversify exports, and some of them, those most dynamic, look to United States, right? So US was treated as and is still treated as an attractive market. And those tariffs will make it much more difficult to sell to the US because, look, we have to underline the fact that 30% tariff is really very high. It's very high. For many products, it's prohibitive. Obviously, if you sell commodities like grains or some basic metals, then 30% maybe it's not huge, right? Because the market prices can vary by 30% year on year. However, if you sell manufactured goods or even final products, then 30% is very, very high and prohibitive in many sectors.
So I think those will be affected then.
Those tariffs will be harmful for European economy. They will not cause recession, no. However, they will make growth more difficult. And which sectors might be affected? Certainly automotive. This is the most exposed sector. Then machinery, metals, to some extent food products. So these are the sectors that may be harmed.
Okay, so if we talk of affected sectors, are we talking about lower revenues? Are we talking about job losses? What's the scale of this impact?
Well, I don't think that we will experience huge job losses. For certain companies, it might be very harmful. So if you take automotive sector, there are certain brands, for example, like some German luxury brands, like Porsche, which have sold a lot of cars produced in Europe to United States, right? So they will be harmed. On the other hand, there are producers, also German producers like Volkswagen, which have factories in US, right? So they can increase production over there and will not be hit by sanctions, by tariffs, sorry. So it's really a case-by-case issue. You cannot tell overall that in a certain sector the economic cost will be of a certain magnitude. It depends on the company. But in total, we can expect that European GDP can be, if those tariffs are implemented, probably European GDP can be a couple of tenths of percentage point lower than in the baseline scenario, so maybe half percentage point lower the GDP growth in EU, also in Poland. So it's not a recessionary factor. It will not cause unemployment to grow, but for certain companies it will be harmful. It will hit investments, and it will make recovery more difficult. So to me, it seems that those tariffs are really a problem. And moreover, there is one important thing to observe, that tariffs on EU, now the proposed tariffs, are higher than those proposed on China and Korea.
Why so?
So European products which compete with Japanese products or Korean products will have, will struggle on American market. Whereas the previous proposals in April were more lenient towards European Union, so we see toughening of the stance. I don't know why. Maybe Trump wants to push harder in negotiations, or maybe he saw that one of the factors closely observed by U.S. citizens and politicians is the pass-through from tariffs to prices. So what is the effect in inflation? And so far we haven't seen a large increase in prices in US. So that may make American president to be more assertive and ready to go tough. However, to me it seems that the inflationary effect will be there. It will reappear in a couple of months. So in general, my expectation is that the tariffs on the EU will be high, but not as high as those proposed today.
It's volatility and unpredictability, which is very difficult to cope with, I can imagine, on the part of the European Union. Trump imposes tariffs, then he backs from them, then he reimposes them, the taxes, the tariffs rise unexpectedly. So what is the strategy of the European Union and how credible it is? And what are its legal instruments that the European Union can use in order to countermeasure them?
Well, the EU can impose countermeasure tariffs, and it already created a list of products.
Who's in favor of this measure and who's not?
Well, I think that countries like France may be in favor, because France is in generally more protectionist. So it usually supports tariffs. France supported tariffs on Chinese cars. On the other hand, Germany, which is, as I said, German growth is more dependent on exports than French growth. So Germany is more open to negotiations and trying to limit any countermeasure tariffs. We also have different political camps. So, for example, Italy, which is led by center-right coalition or right-wing coalition, is more ready to sort of treat United States in a friendly manner and don't respond harshly. Poland might be somewhere in the middle, we will have a very pro-American president very soon.
Yes.
So I don't think that Poland is in a position to propose harsh response. So the problem of the EU is that it is composed of many countries which have different interests, whereas US can make decisions within days.
Unilaterally.
So my view is that the response from the EU will not be very strong.
And with this transatlantic unity under strain because of economic issues, how do you think it will impact other issues, most notably the stance on Ukraine and help for Ukraine?
Well, these are intertwined problems. So, and they are treated as such by Americans. So I think that Donald Trump is ready to combine trade negotiations and security negotiations. And that creates a problem for the EU because the European Union is, in security terms, it's totally dependent on the United States, at least in the shorter and middle and medium term. So to me, it seems that the security and geopolitical reasons limit the room of maneuver for Brussels, right? So Brussels cannot go tough, cannot go harsh in those negotiations because it risks a negative response in terms of security. So this will be a very difficult puzzle to put everything in right order. Moreover, the key unpredictability factor is the character of U.S. president. So we don't know how he will react. We can remember the negotiations with China in April. So when China responded, Donald Trump doubled the tariffs. So China responded again, he doubled the tariffs again, and they ended up with tariffs close to 200%, which was crazy.
Yes.
Now, Europe cannot afford to go into this kind of quarrel. So I think the response, to me, the response of the EU should be targeted. It should not be broad-based tariffs. It should target certain sectors which are politically vulnerable in the U.S., which may cause which may cause harm in certain segments of U.S. society and business. Those segments which have some impact on Trump policy. So it should be narrow, targeted, and restrained.
Difficult 2 weeks ahead of us, certainly. Ignacy Morawski, thank you so much, Chief Economist, Puls Biznesu. And thank you for watching World Talks on TVP World. Please stay tuned for the news and other interesting commentaries.